What's up, Chola?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going very well, very well, very well.
Gotten better sleep recently?
Yeah, he's getting there. It's just hard, man. You know, the big thing is consistency, because if you're not, you're gonna lose.
Right. Yeah. Well,
You're gonna
most people
lose.
do.
Yeah, because they go, oh, forget it. I can't deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
What
it's
up?
annoying. Hi.
Hello. How's everybody doing? Hello.
Well, I'll tell you.
How's puppy? How's being a puppy raiser? Having a good time?
Listen, I started my session with him on Friday. I just started and looked at me, and there's just Atlas just howling in the background. It is great.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got over it though, huh?
Hey, getting over it.
Yeah.
There
Come
you
on,
go.
buddy. There he is. See him? Whoop, where the fuck? Hey, what are we doing here? Oh,
I don't see
Jesus.
nothing.
I know. Well, that's kind of a thing with you, isn't it? Oh my God, what is going on?
But I think this time it's your fault.
There he is.
Just sleeping.
He's fucking. I burnt his ass out today.
It's good.
Yeah. What'd you guys do?
Yeah. Went to Fort Pulaski.
Oh wow.
First time on a leash.
Ooh, how was that? Did he get mad?
Why would you ask when you can see?
Oh, you have video. Let's see it. Of course you have video.
He
What was I
always.
thinking? What was I
Always.
thinking?
Yeah. Windy.
Surprised he's still standing up.
We're going 60 miles an hour.
He's not gonna have fun with this.
I'm gonna brake check him. So now I'm waiting to get out. Oh, get your balance.
Hey, Leaky, what are you doing?
Like, shouldn't I have a little basket strapped to his feet so that I
Now he's just gonna go setting down. So what's he leaking for now?
He wants to be with you guys. Yeah.
That's right.
That's interesting. 'Cause I was wondering if, because you said leaking is always wanting something, right? So it couldn't be. I think a lot of people would look at that and say like he's nervous about the car or something like that.
But remember what's happening, and this is really hard to believe. Every problem he has ends with getting closer to us.
And that's what you want. Yes.
Well, right now, yeah, but then I don't want. So you've got to take it to a limit and then not turn it into separation anxiety. It's
Right.
a really
Mhm.
so everything I'm doing is from his perspective. The leash around. Now remember, that's a leash inverted. So I'm holding a clip. I think a lot of people, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is when they want something, they think make the dog do it, and that's how you're going to get the result.
Right. No, I agree with that. You know, you make them sit. You know, you pull up, you push down on their butt, and then they sit.
Mm.
But if you don't want to do that for the rest of their lives, you probably shouldn't be doing that.
So what's the command for sit then?
You lift straight up.
So they're not going to sit until you lift up.
Right.
Then down, you guide them. So they wait to be guided. Now, if you just say, well, this dog's being arrogant, and then you jump to an e-collar and you're stimming them to get into position, they don't know how to solve that problem.
Right.
It's even more pressure that they don't even know
Well,
where it's coming from.
I don't even know if it's pressure as much as it's fear.
Because something's happening and they don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? They don't know how to solve the problem. I wrote something down the other day. I said, too many people are asking their dogs to do math problem when they haven't taught them how to do math. You understand that this dog is growing in confidence. This dog is growing in environmental. This dog is growing in bond because I'm not going to get him and go, this is down, this is sit. So if you sent him to a commercial trainer, that he'd do all the shit and you'd be thrilled. But all the little superstitions that come with that in the result, meaning if you want the result, you're giving the trainer carte blanche to get the result.
Right. Well, that's
I'd
what
rather,
happened with the second dog. He knew his downs and sits and comes, and he also was he couldn't handle pressure and couldn't handle new people and was afraid of environments and
no, the world first. The world first.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it. That's what I got for you. And when we were coming home, there were some there was a fire at one of the boat docks because it's all islands out there, you know.
Hmm.
So there's all these fire trucks going by. What? Nothing. Nothing. He was fine. So it's not me doing anything. It's just me not allowing things I don't want and choreographing it so he has to solve the problem. So that requires you to know the answer first and then kind of fix it so he can go that way.
Right. And also requires obviously you know how he thinks.
Hang on. He's up. I gotta go take him out. Hang on. I'll be right back. Talk him on.
Chris and I were talking about, I think one of the things is like you like to have all the answers. Like so you that you know so you're like researching and doing all this stuff and that's the hard thing, Chris, I think like when I look back to like my first dog, like I adopted him from the SPCA. He was a 2-year-old German Shepherd and he was a nightmare. I mean, he just
Mm.
had no obedience and he would cook you a ham sandwich if you'd give him a hot dog, but other than that he could care less. And but his method is kind of different because he's not going to tell you A to Z, this is what you have to do, right? He's going to say, do this. And when you get that right, we're going to move to the next thing, which is a lot of uncertainty on your end because you're going to be thinking, but what comes next? Or what do we, and that's the hard part because when I got this shepherd, I went to him and he didn't say, okay, this is what we're going to do. He's like, this is what you're going to work on this week. And when you come back next week, he's going to evaluate that. And if he feels like I got a handle on it, then you move to the next thing. And and it's kind of the same thing like he did with the puppies, with the dogs I have now, is that he didn't say, okay, this is how you're going to teach them all of these things. He said, this week, this is what you're going to work on. And then I would have to show him videos showing him that I mastered that or they understood it. And then we built on that, which I think for someone like you, it's because you're similar to me that like I research, I try to find all the answers.
Right.
It's hard because you're like, where are we going? What are we doing next? How do we get to the end? And Chris is not an end person. He's like, no, you're going to go through the steps until we get to the point where you're done. And it's a different way of training. And it's hard for someone who's used to being in control all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
well, it's doing things the right way, but doing things the right way is not the way that really anyone's used to doing things anymore.
Right. And I think that's part of the thing is that, you get the dog and you say, well, how am I going to teach them how to come to me? And, Chris will be like, this, you're going to learn this because they're all building blocks to get to that end point. And so instead of like, laying it all out from A to Z, because it's going to be different with every person, every combination of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like the handler awareness. I mean, I think he probably wanted to just come up and hang me because it's just like, I just couldn't get it. I mean, he's like, you're just not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally one day it was like, wait a minute, I get it. And with the dogs fighting and all that stuff, it was just like I had so much anxiety that they were going to fight that I would never let them be together.
Right.
But looking at that then and where I am now, where it's like, they if they even look at each other funny, I can just give them a command to lay down and knock it off, and they stop. And
Mhm.
it's empowering. And I look back to like where I was, back in June when I called him. I was terrified. I had a knot in my stomach all the time because it was just bad.
Yeah,
And
when
now,
are they gonna try to kill each other again?
yeah, and now it's just like it's not a thing anymore. It's I have to be aware of it, that it could happen, because like he said, two dogs living in a house definitely could fight at any time. But it's not this huge fear for me anymore. But
Right.
it was all those building blocks, because I couldn't see how all the things that he was teaching me. I'm like, how does that get my dogs to stop fighting? And it
Right.
wasn't about the dogs fighting, it was about me. So
But you can't help it because you're just focused on these dogs are gonna kill each other, so we gotta fix it.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where he gets frustrated with people, because I'm looking for the end result. I'm looking for these dogs not to fight, but
Mhm.
saying, to get there, you have to do all of these things. But he's not going to tell you what those things are. He's going to present them as you progress. And I find that difficult. I'm sure you're going to find it difficult, but it works. You know what I mean? It works. He does.
Mhm.
The shepherd that I took to him, those after 6 weeks of taking him to that place, and I spent 10, 15 minutes there tops a week. I mean, I literally would go in, he would have me show him what I did the week before. He would say, okay, this is what you're going to work on this week. And he would show it to me. He would have me do it, so he knew I had it. And then I would go home and work for the week. And
Mhm.
yeah, and I worked hard with that dog. But in 6 weeks, I had this great dog, and which I mean, obviously, isn't going to happen for a puppy, anyways. But
Yeah.
I mean, he was a 2-year-old dog, smart as a whip, but just had no idea what was expected of him.
Right.
And we taught him that. And I was so proud of that dog, because everybody was like, "Oh my God, he's amazing! He's so smart! He's so friendly! He's so this!" And it's just, you know, it was just the work and doing things the right way. And again, bringing him to 3 different people who said, no, he's just going to be on Valium, he's going to be on doggy Prozac. And, you know, everybody said couldn't be fixed.
Right. Right. But
So,
he wants you to learn how to actually work with the dog, not
yeah,
just follow the guidelines.
exactly.
Mhm.
So it's going to be a challenge for you. It's going to be a challenge for you. What up?
Hello.
Dude, I'm 100 for 100 with housebreaking. He's the man, dude.
That's awesome. I like
But
that a lot.
you gotta go. You gotta go. Like he wakes up. What are you doing, fucko? Oh, you want to eat, huh? You want to
No,
eat?
you
All
can't
right.
call him that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. All right, watch now. Here's your food.
Doing a little dance.
No problem. And it's not a big deal. Like people would go, why does that matter? What do you mean, why does that matter? That's why we had so much success at Fort Pulaski.
Right.
Hmm.
You know? I
All
don't
the
know.
little things.
He's so what you're looking for. He's so what you're looking for. So don't fuck it up.
No pressure. No pressure.
Sure.
Oh, he's doing great. He's just doing great. And it's like there's nothing catastrophic that just pops up, right?
Right.
So April picked the dog first. April was like, "This is your guy," because she said she completely ignored the dude and just went into the pen. And she's like, "Get that one out, get that one out, that one out," and then she's like, "This is the guy." So then I go out and I run through. You saw that, and then I came to the same conclusion. So it's like a double blind test, right?
Mm.
So now it's up to us to fuck it up. I'm serious. If you there's people that would put a prong on him. There's people who
Yeah.
would put a choke on him. There's people who he doesn't need any of it. He's been on the planet for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And he eats out of the dish. I haven't even fed him from my hand.
And he's willing, and why would you want to crush that at this point? There's no reason to have to correct him into doing things. He's willing to do it on his own.
Well,
And
he wasn't. He's yeah. But you go like getting out of the car when we got back, right? We're going to get out of the car. He's going in his crate. What a good guy.
Hmm.
What's up, dude? What's happening? What are we doing? Hang on. Hang on. And he's crashed right next to me. He comes right here and lays down.
Aw.
Dude, if he wasn't a poodle, I'd really like him.
Hey.
But yeah, right. So
it's kind of my dog too, Sky. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
So the big deal here is it's like get out of the fucking dog's way. Right? Like get out of the dog's way. Don't start when people get attached to outcome, they start doing very cruel things to dogs. And when you look, hey, what are we doing? Oh, you gonna crash over there? Do you see him?
Yeah.
Down. You got the hiccups. Down. There you go. Yeah, he's licking his asshole. Down. There you go. See, I taught him how to down. So the big thing here is, does he trust my leadership? Yes. Is he trusting it more every day? Yes. Do I trust that he can do the work? Yes. This is an equation that's over 36,000 years old. And we're just throwing it away, which brings me to actually why I wanted a podcast today. Sky sent me a video
Uh-oh.
of a trainer who's very well respected.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. So she said, "What do you think of this?" So I looked it up, and I stabbed myself in the genitals with a fork a lot, and then I told her what I thought of it. My algorithm will not stop. I got puppy boot camp. I got electric collar for 8-week-old puppies, dude. The more I look out there, the more I'm like, we're fucked. There's nothing. This is the genie's out of the bottle. There's no way it ever changes from here. No way. And so it really made me super sad. Like I'll tell you, when I started, there was no internet, and people didn't want you to know what they knew. They did not. They you had to earn it. Like any mentor I ever had, I had to just keep showing up. You want this information, you're gonna have to put up with a little shit here.
Yeah.
You earn it. And that's what I try to do when I teach, is teach people to earn it, to just get them to understand you when you're looking for a technique or a method or a piece of equipment or a results guy, you start to forget that this animal thinks and it has behaviors. And so I seriously am thinking about getting off Facebook, because I am buried with things like the rescues and the some lady saying we do not use aversives at all, and these dogs are like trying to tear this lady up, and I'm like, it's so easy to help these dogs, but you got to educate people. When you decide to sell results to people, we're no longer thinking about the dog.
Right.
Jen, you've been through it.
Oh yeah, I've been through it, and it's frustrating, because I think the average consumer thinks that you go to these people and they're the expert, right? I mean, it's like if I go to the dentist, I expect that they know like what they're doing. So if I go to a dog trainer, I expect they know what they're doing. But I look at just the variation, like the things that people tell you to do from one place to the next place. I was a Cesar Millan video popped up on my thing the other day, and I was just like watching it, and I don't know. Everybody's got these different opinions, but as a consumer, you think that a dog trainer is a dog trainer is a dog trainer. I mean, you might have a little bit of a different method, but you understand the dogs. But what I'm finding is people can just go online for 6 weeks, take a course, and they don't even have to touch a dog. There's no competency test at the end. You can just call yourself a dog trainer. It's insane.
The popularity of dogs has made dogs into this marketable thing that people don't have time or respect enough to understand anymore. Even veterinarians, they do not understand what they're looking at. It's hard, man. It just reminds me when I work with, what's his name? Astro? What?
Atlas.
Atlas. When I work with, what? Dude,
Oh my
how, you know what she was gonna name him?
No.
Tell her.
Seymour.
Because he can see more than she can.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty good.
I know, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I thought
the
you were
deal
going to name
is,
him after the cactus.
Oh,
yeah, no, there's no, she's not about that. She's like, we'd be like, what's his name? Leaping Chola. You know what I mean?
no.
Chimichanga.
Yeah. But if you think about it, and you go to a shelter, and I've done it. I have it on video. You watch these dogs are next to each other in chain link kennels, learning to fight, learning to be dog aggressive, learning to be food aggressive, learning to be resource. They have all the toys, they have all the stuff, and these are our professionals,
Right.
Mm.
and they don't put them down because you can just keep getting money for them. You can just keep rotating them, and so when you get to the point where, you know, like what you're going through, Sky, it's one of the last people that will go through it. You know what I mean? It's not. It's a different way to think now. And one of the things that really shook me up was how many times the industry, specifically the guide dog industry, fucked you over, and you were like, "Well, that's just the way it is." And I'm like, "No way." And that's what's led to this project is you taking the time to understand the dog and yourself. And I
Right.
think that's awesome because the last one we talked about was where you corrected like you were afraid. And so when you do that, the moment you become afraid, you're not thinking about the dog anymore. Now, I'm not saying I don't understand. I understand it. I get it. But part of the journey is to understand why you don't have to be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are teaching guide dogs should teach you that you don't have to be afraid. But the only way to learn that you don't have to be afraid is to go through the fear. The quickest way out is through for the dog and for the handler. But you can't put anybody under stress anymore.
Right.
Well, when you were gone, that's what I was talking to Sky about is, how that uncertainty is hard for people like her and like me, because we both want to be in control. We want to have the answers. And I mean, I don't even know that video when you were like, Gus and Ollie were in their crates down in my thing, and you were just like, and Gus was laying on the floor, Ollie was laying on the floor, and you're like, take the one that's in the crate and move him to the other crate. And I was like, I was so freaked out, but you were just like, just do it. And I was like, no. And then I finally was just like, screw it. And I just got up and moved him. And that was just like, oh, nothing happened. And eventually that becomes that confidence that even if like something did happen, I could handle it. But it's that fear of, you have to put it aside. You have to just say, it's like, with Gus chasing the horses. And I was like, I don't dare to let him out. But then I took him out. And I'm like, I dare you to chase the horses. And that's
a leader.
Yeah. And it's so hard. It's like we said, it's like an epiphany, because all you sit there and do is like, I can't take him out off leash because he's going to go chase the horses. And I don't want him to chase the horses. And you get in this cycle. But then that one day where I was just like, you little bastard, you're not going to chase my horses. And then I just walked, and he looked at me like, something's up, I mean, he knew.
Yeah,
something.
No. So what it is, Jen, was what I do with people, it depends on how they think, right?
Right.
So with you, the easiest way to get you to do something is to piss you off. tell you can't, say you're a woman, tell you men are smart. Like, all I got to do is just start throwing coal on that fire and you're going to do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what people don't want. He was such a dick to me. Well, I mean, okay. All I want to do is let people know there's another way. But now where you have millions of experts, keyboard warriors, nobody will go in public and learn something because they don't know. Everybody's an expert and they don't want to be outed. And that's how I work. Like, remember the handler awareness where I'm like, you're planting your foot and you're turning like this. Don't do that. Oh my God, I thought she wanted to kill me. Like she's like, I know. And I'm like, well then fucking stop. Like you get, but just doing something and not doing it in a way that the dog understands is a whole different conversation. So I remember one time with Jen, she was going to correct, and I'm like, stop, 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 stop. And she goes, wow, you really lost your shit there. And I go, yeah, because if you make a mark, it's permanent. And she was in blacksmith mode. So I'm like, like, don't do it. So I'd rather have you not do anything than do it wrong. How you correct, when you correct, what level you correct, what are you correcting for? Now, the more people get upset without by not getting a result, the harder they're going to correct. The more often they're going to correct. So it becomes about driving the point through the dog's skull rather than understanding that this thing really has its own language. Movement is dialogue, and it's genetic predisposition. And you know, everybody says, "Oh, they're my baby." That's bullshit because you're not raising it like it's your kid. You're bipolar with the dog, or you're giving it this and you're giving it that. And so the way the industry runs now is like the antivirus stuff on the internet. Like the antivirus companies create the viruses, then sell you the software to fix it. Then correct, and so it's just this monolith of money and popularity. And when I got in the algorithm, and I'm like, I cannot believe it's gotten this bad. I am shocked. Now you see things like the Ty Cal video. You saw that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see it, Jen?
I don't think so. I don't know what
that guy in Texas who I thought was a decent trainer had a 9-month-old Malinois, and he's trying to teach it to out. Now remember, the more business you get, the more volume you do, the more business you get, and it increases your volume. When you're increasing your volume and you're the trainer with skill, how are you going to train all those dogs? You hand them off to people and say, do this, do that, do that, but you lose that quality. That's why it's a one-on-one thing. But the Ty Cal video was a guy was so mad at the dog, he picked up the leash and he bang, bang, and he broke its hips, and it was bad. And then you look at the OL Canine where the guy has the baseball bat. That was in Vegas.
Yeah.
And he's hitting the Doberman with it because they're not dog trainers. They're not even dog people. They're people who are under. You ever see the video of the guy? He's a big fat guy and he's in an office and he's trying to get the computer to work. It doesn't work and he just snaps and grabs the clipboard and starts hitting everything. You don't want that in your dog training. You do not want that. But that's the thing. Why can't I get this fucking computer to understand? That's how people are with dogs now.
Yeah.
Or they're at the other end of the spectrum. It doesn't want to, like the lady with the horse who said, "He tells me when I'm supposed to."
Yeah.
I just don't know how. Like it doesn't bother me like it used to bother me. It's just so fucking sad, man. And it's like when you look at what you both have been through with the industry. Obviously, Sky's been through more shit. I just think, oh no, it's true. I think what's happened with Jen is Jen's a born leader. Jen's no joke, boy, no joke. And so you kind of get castrated with these methods, and I'm like, that ain't Jen. That ain't Jen. You got to hit the bitch button, then you're going to see Jen. Hear that? I just saw devil horns shoot out of her ears, right? But so the same thing happens with you guys. When you hear bullshit and you have no recourse, you start getting punitive with those dogs.
Mm.
That's not your fault. Because you're paying people big money to tell you to fuck that dog up when it's separation anxiety.
Yeah. I told you at the school, like they made us put a leash and collar on a stuffed dog, and they made us correct, and they taught us how to correct really hard. Like that's how they showed us how hard you should be correcting a dog.
Who
And
taught them?
it's without any kind of consideration of the dog itself. So, and we talked about that before, is like Ollie could not take the same correction you can give Gus. So you can give me a stuffed animal and teach me how to correct, but if I don't look at a dog and evaluate the dog's temperament, you're just going to screw it up. I mean, that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I used to give. Go ahead, Sky.
No, just at the start of the class, all the dogs were on slip chains. By the end, all the dogs were on prongs.
So if you have to go to a prong to get performance, where's the training? If you have to go to an e-collar, where's the understanding? If you have to always use food, what is the dog learning? So if you look at people like Sean the Sheep Man, he's not using any of that bullshit. If you look at Randy Hare doing drug detection work, dude, that man understands what he's doing to the molecular level. I was out there. There's no holes. He knows what he's doing. But people don't want to take the time. They want it now. Since the advent of the internet, that's your storefront now. It's not local, it's global.
Right.
Right? So that's your storefront. And if people like you, they'll sign up. And it's not even about, with a lot of these guys doing advertising online, it's not even, a lot of these people don't even train dogs. They just say they do. They look like an expert, and then it's a pyramid scheme where they say, dog trainers, if you want me to hand you a client, you give me $100. So there's just money coming in, and all they're doing is making these reels and shit, and it's like a meat grinder. But that's the information age. That's really been solidified. Like I'll tell you, Jen and I are the same age. It's harder to get us to buy into that than it is to have millennials buy into it. Millennials are all in. Now you have to disprove them over the internet, not in person. And when you do it in person, they say, well, he humiliated me. If I'm working with you on a daily, weekly, monthly, bi-weekly basis, I'm going to say pick up the leash. If you pick up the leash and you're going like that girl did, that's the first fucking thing we got to stop. You got to stop. You're correcting the dog, and the dog doesn't know what it's for. Yeah, but I don't want to do that. I want to teach him to heel. Yeah, well, stop doing that. So same thing with the puppy. When I first get the puppy, like, you're not going to chase your tail. You're not going to shit in the house. You're not going to eat out of the trash. All that shit is what makes you the leader. And when you're the leader, the dog goes, what do you want me to do? Oh, now it's so easy to teach Sid, it's ridiculous. So it's a thing that people just don't understand anymore, and they don't want to understand it anymore. There's a difference between teach and make.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's part of the problem too, is that, everybody's going to these types of trainers, and, they've got the e-collars, they've got the prong collars, and they're getting a result, but they're missing out on having a relationship with the dog that you have a confidence that you can take I took, by the way, I wanted to give you kudos. I had to take Gus to the vet the other day, and they said they were just like floored. They're like, he's so calm, he's so quiet, he's so polite. And when they went to take blood, they're like, do you want us to take him in the back? And I'm like, I'll hold him. So like he came over, and I put his head on the crook of my neck. On the crook of my arm, and I held him, and he just laid there with his head. They were just like, we don't see German Shepherds like this. And I said, well, just so you know, they don't come this way,
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You come out of the womb like, see, that's another thing, man. Is like the trainer makes the dog look like you want one of that breed.
And that's the problem, right? People see German Shepherds, and if they see a well-behaved German Shepherd, they're like, oh, we need to have one of these. And they become and they're one of the harder dogs to train, only because if you don't do anything with them, they're pain in the ass. They're
Well,
total
and
pain.
and isn't that the thing now? Is that when you get into suburbia, they're like, you've got to have a dog walker or your whatever.
Oh yeah,
You got to have them go to daycare. You got
yeah,
to go to the dog park. They have to have clothes, and you have to do this. And so undoing, undoing, like get all that shit off the dog from here, here, and here. Get all of it. Who is the dog? Who is the dog? Do you even know who your dog is? Because like one of the things I know, Jen, when your dogs were going after each other, you took an awful lot of pressure from the family and people outside who were like, "This is wrong," but you've done everything everybody else has said,
right,
right?
right,
But when we go to brick one, you're building a foundation. First brick, first brick. We're not going any further till you get this brick. We're not going to put another brick on. Or we're not going to put brick 1,000 in and the fucking shit's just going to fall down.
right. And I was talking to Sky about that when you
Yeah.
were out with the puppy. I was saying, the way that you train is different than the way that you go to puppy class and like, okay, week one we're teaching this, week two we're teaching this, week three, and it's all like sit down. It's none of the things that matter really when it
No,
comes
right,
down and
right.
and it's like I was saying to her, the way that you train is hard for people like us, like me and Sky, because we want control, we want to know what's next, what's happening, but the way that you train is you're like, this is what I want you to do this week, and then you show me that you've got it, and then we'll move on to the next thing. But you don't just lay it out like you said, but like people want bullet points, but you're
Yeah.
not going to move to the next step until you know. And then based on where you are that week, that's how you determine what you want us to do the following week. So you just have to almost have blind faith that you know where you're going, and that's got to be good enough. And you can't go Google the answer. It's you're going to teach us what to do next, and that's just how it works. It's hard for people that want all the answers and want to be in control.
Let me simplify that for you, and I think that's awesome. I put your dogs were going after each other. They got everything they want. They did that canine homoerotic kissing each other's mouths and oh, they're just laying on the floor licking the inside of each other's mouths. And I'm like, we're cool with this? Like, I'm not cool with this. But then it started to get really, really, really bad. It started to get to the point where these dogs thought we can do whatever the fuck we want because everybody was catering to them, right? So now what I do is go reset. We're going to fucking reset this whole fucking thing. Just like when you hit Control Alt Delete, put the dog in the crate, get the dog out of the crate, and be very specific about what you want done. Be very specific. Put the dog in the crate, take it out. What people do is they spend the first year giving the dog everything it wants, showing it off, making videos. Now, that's your foundation. That's your
Mm-hmm.
foundation. That's the meanest fucking thing to do that to a dog and then start frying it, choking it, and pronging it.
Yeah.
You're mad at the dog because of what you taught it to do.
Yeah, you
And,
created
and,
it.
and so now the only way to fix it is to reset the relationship.
Right.
How can you develop touch online? Well, it's hard. You can, but you better have someone with a microscope going, no, stop, stop. When you took control of your house, Jen, that's when everything started to change. Your mom was telling you what she wanted. You were trying to give everybody what they wanted.
Right.
And that happens in families all the time. And so if your relationship is off with your spouse, or if your kids are, oh, my kids are letting the dog out, then I can't help you. He was so rude to me, told me he couldn't help me. I couldn't help you because you didn't want to change. What do you want me to do?
Yep.
Hard, man.
That's why you got to look for something else. I'm just scared for the time when all the trainers like you are gone, because then what are people like us supposed to do? It's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Well, I
Yeah,
wouldn't have to right now. I definitely wouldn't, because every trainer that I saw was like, you got to get rid of the dog. You got to get, and they would be neutered, because that was the other thing is people telling me they got to be neutered and you got to get rid of them. One of them, that they'll never be able to live in the same house together ever.
There's no neutered dogs in this house. There's 2 males and 2 females, and this is my fucking house. It's not their genitals' house. It's my house. You're not gonna I don't care. See, the genitals don't bite people.
Right.
They're not going like, nom, 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 nom. It's the lady when I brought Hadouken into the vet after he got hit by the truck, and she said, when are we gonna make his appointment to neuter him? She's like, if you neuter him, he has 0 chance of testicular cancer. I said, yeah, if we take out his fucking brain, he's got 0 chance of brain cancer. I'm not going to do better training through amputation. If you control the brain, you control the dog. If you ever seen my Batman video, that Australian cattle dog, he was intact. If you watch the dogs, it's like everybody's like, neuter him. That's your first fear. Neuter him. And they're going to scare you into doing it. Then it's enrichment. Stop fucking enriching them. What you do not want to do is take a puppy and start building its drives with no control.
Right.
That's enrichment. Does that? What dog trainer is going, excuse me, that's incorrect. And here's why. Nobody wants to hear it anymore. But even now in person, you've got to fight with people. You've got to say, look, here's what I want you to stop doing. I'm not doing that. Well, then what the fuck do you want from me? What do you want from me? I can't help you if you're not going to stop.
Well, if they don't admit that, and again, it comes down to just the name of the business. It's not the dog, it's you. If you're not willing to say, I'm the one that's caused the problem, or I'm the one that created the problem, or I'm the one that perpetuated the problem, whatever. If you can't say that, then you have no business trying to fix it, because that's the only, if you don't change, the only thing you can do is use prongs and e-collars. Yeah.
Management, which is what Sky was talking about, like the whole guide dog industry, and Sky, I may be wrong, and please feel free to correct me, is management. It's not training anymore.
Right.
Yeah, well, I told you, all guide dogs are issued with a head collar now, so that you can manage their head, because if you don't, the dog's like unmanageable for the handler. It's going to go after things, it's going to sniff things. So
And there's no blind people going, what the fuck are we doing?
there's a few, but not a lot, because the schools tell them you are not capable of doing this yourself.
Well, we're going to prove that shit wrong.
Heck yeah.
And see, that's the thing. Watch your mouth, Sky. Sky, I'm telling you, all I think of is Captain America when he said shit, and they're like, you kiss your mother with that mouth? So anyway, but have you ever sworn?
No? Very, very, very rarely.
So yes, right? You are a human, not an android.
I'm a human.
Okay, good. So the thing is that there's all this emotion in dogs that's bad for dogs the way they're marketed, right? There's no need for daycare. There's no need for dog walkers. There's no need for dog parks. It's a thing to get popularity to the middle class, to get them happy. Everybody, the experts have become the people who want to give to the dog, right? Now you've got people who are experts in pattern sports, people who are experts in rescue, or people who are experts in all these things. None of that matters. What if you have a dog? Your first obligation is to understand how that dog thinks. Not anymore. The amount of corporations now that are attached to dogs remember where dogs came from. It was one dog, one person, let's go to work. It's not that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, it's big money. I like to think there's still some honest people out there, but I think dogs are messed up, one, because people get so over emotional, and then they're willing to spend a lot of money, and people are willing to prey on that, and it's like a cycle, and that's what you're seeing.
Well, even a couple of my mentors went to the dark side, and I stopped talking to them. I don't want to be rich, and I don't want to be popular. I just want to make a living at doing what I do, helping people, one person, one dog at a time. And that's what I'm doing. But what get people say, oh, Chris is so bitter. You're goddamn right I'm bitter, because every dog I see has problems caused by the industry.
Yeah. Well, I just think about when I took the dogs to the man who we don't speak the name of, like Voldemort. I'll call him Voldemort. But everything was like, when I first went there, it was like, well, maybe that prong collar, let's use a different prong collar. And then it was, well, Ollie doesn't like to heel, so let's use this weird contraption-y thing that goes over his nose. It wasn't a gentle leader, but it was like it went over his nose. It was, and so we'll try that. And I'm sitting here, and I knew, Chris, actually, when I think about it, it's like, why not just teach him how to heel? I don't really understand. It's like, what? But and then it was, well, use the e-collars and put them up on the highest thing, so if they start fighting, you can zap them. And then it was throw hot dogs at them when they're fighting, and that'll but none of it got to the problem. None of it, not one thing addressed the actual problem with the dogs. It was all about distraction, or but the fact that I failed as a leader is what happened to these dogs. You know what I mean?
No. I tell this to Sky all the time. What?
It was a lack of leadership.
But it's not, you didn't fail. You paid a professional to tell you what to do. That's like if I go, when I was 340 pounds and I went to a personal trainer and they're like, dude, Big Macs are the way. Okay. It doesn't make sense, but you're going to be happy and you're going to lose weight. Yeah, because I have diabetes and they cut off both my fucking legs. Guaranteed lose weight. That's what I'm saying, is like, if you're going to change, it sucks. But the change on the other side of that, you get peace, and so does the dog.
Yeah.
Like this little rugrat over here, this guy, I'm not doing anything other than molding him and communicating with him in a way that he can trust me and I can trust him. You saw it. But if you take this guy and you start making down and you start making sit and you start making all these expectations for shit he's not been trained to do, or he's been trained to do the opposite in hopes that he'll do the genuine article, you're confusing the dog to death. That's why dogs bite. That's why dogs are like, look, enough bullshit here. Let's fucking stop. I got to correct you here. So over time, the propaganda and the marketing and the popularity, all this stuff is too much for these kids to not want. Want a career in dogs? Like, no, dude, it's not a career in dogs. It's not. To be good at dog training, you have to be much more of a personal counselor than a trainer. Right. It's the people that are in the way. It's the people who do not have a need for the dog. They have a want for the dog. Scott, you're one of the only people left that has a need. Everything's got to be systemic for people. Okay, so I've got a Jack Russell that has drive that's off the charts. I've got this poodle over here who's very balanced. And I've got Jen's dog. One's really shy and the other one's very extroverted. And I'm going to do the same thing for each one of those dogs. Now let's get to the handler. The handler's different. Well, first of all, Jen can see with glasses on. Sky can't. Right?
True.
So
I like the qualification with glasses on.
With glasses, yeah.
I would say that both of you have tempers.
That's
if
fair.
you start giving someone the wrong fucking information and they're expecting it to work, who's going to catch a bad one? The dog.
Yeah.
Do it harder. How many times have you heard that? Do it harder. Turn it up. Get a higher value treat. What? Where's the training? Where is the education of the human so that they can understand what they're doing to the dog?
Right. It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard because for me, it's like, how do you market struggle? How do you market being a dickhead to someone? I remember I don't know if I told you this, but this girl came in. She's great. With that dog Yazira, that German Shepherd, and she said, "Christopher," she's from Southie. She goes, "Christopher, I want to take Yazira to go hiking in the White Mountains." I said, "Then go ahead." She's like, "But I know you don't want me to." I said, "Then don't do it." And she's like, "But I want to." I said, "Then go ahead." And I'm painting a wall. And she's like, "You're not helping me." I go, "You know the answer. You're putting yourself in front of the dog." "No, I'm not." "Then take the dog." Ah! And her boyfriend is like, "Dude, this guy's magic. This guy's this guy's not. This guy's just telling you you know what to do. You're fighting with yourself." And she goes, "You shut the fuck up," to him. And I turn around and I go, "Go ahead." She's like, I'm gonna leave your dog at home. I fucking hate you." And I go, "All right. What part of that is me?" But people get mad. There's a Patreon where this girl comes in who's a Keeler trainer and has switched to an e-collar trainer. She has a Dalmatian. Have you seen that one? That chick's angry. She's like, "Ah!" When the dog, "You're embarrassing me," and fucked up the dog outside. Like I see that a lot with trainers. Like, "Don't fucking embarrass me," and I'm like, that'll help. That'll help. That'll help. So it's we have to educate the stupid end of the leash, which is the human end of the leash. And we're not doing that anymore. I'm very grateful for both of you because you guys have given me hope that there's actually some humanity left out there. But it's also the trust that you have to put in me to struggle through. Chris, I'm gonna kill my mom. I know. Chris, I have so many guide dog people who think you're shit, and hang in there, hang in there. It's not easy on any level.
No.
Mm.
No. And the thing is, I'm lucky because I found you years ago, and you helped me so much with my first dog that I knew I had you as a resource. And when I couldn't find you and I had to go to these other people, because again, had you been here, I never would have gone to another dog trainer. I mean, that's how much I believe in your method, and how you train. So in doing that, it's just, you realize just how insane everybody is. And we all, like you said, if you've created a problem with your dog, which I did, you are going to have to struggle to get to the finish line or to get where you want to go. And people don't want to do that. Right. And that's where I've said it's easier to go to these other people and have them tell you what you want to hear and find a way around it. But you'll never have that relationship with your dog. You'll never be able to not have an e-collar or,
Right. Manage it.
Yeah.
And management's 100% unsuccessful.
It is. And what I've learned with working with Chris is like, it's actually good to trust your instincts. So like when he was showing me, like when we were just watching stuff with Atlas and how it makes, he was uncomfortable on the leash and you got through it. Like that feels fine. Watching that, I get it. I understand it. I have zero qualms with it. But anytime anyone tries ever to instruct me on e-collars or correcting with a prong or, a ton of the stuff that normal trainers try to tell you to do, you see that and you're like, this just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like I'm doing the right thing for my dog. And working with Chris is the only time where I've been like, this feels right. This feels natural. This is what I should be doing. So
because it makes sense from the dog's point of view, right? I mean, because we're all looking at it from, I just want this dog to do X, Y, Z. That's what I want. And so I just need to make it do it. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not about that. You want the dog to want to do those things, or at least give up what it wants to do those things for you. And I went through the same thing with Chris, where I said, I kind of laughed when you're talking about the girl from Southie, because I was like, everybody's telling me I need to let the dogs out of their crates. And you're like, go ahead. And I'm like, but they're going to fight. And you're like, yeah. So Go ahead, let them on if that's what you, I mean, and that's the beauty of how you train is you basically let the person come to their own conclusion that,
Yeah.
yeah, I would really love to have the dogs out, but they're going to fight and I
Yeah.
don't want that. So I know the answer, but you just got to smack me,
Yeah. I'm going to stick my hand on this fucking electric stove. Go ahead. But I don't want to get burned. Then don't do it. Like, what the fuck? The more you understand and the more the dog understands, the less equipment you need. If
Right.
you have to keep getting food or a fanny pack or a training vest or a prong collar or an e-collar, you don't know what you're doing. You know what you're doing with the equipment, but that still doesn't mean you know what you're doing with the dog. But when you the ultimate training for me is no leash, no collar. Now let me see. Now I'll see who the trainer is. Who's the trainer? But that's gone. That's gone now.
Yeah.
Difference between managing and training, but you tell someone that and they're going to freak out at you.
There's a video of me with that German Shepherd that was going to be a search and rescue dog out in Minnesota, who was afraid of the bucket, the pool with the bottles in it, and the
Yeah.
lady's just doing what her search and rescue training director's telling her, and I'm like, don't do that. Well, they told me to do it. I said, okay, let me show you. And I show the fucking dog's diving into the pool, sliding across the floor, and she's like, how did you do that? I go, not doing what you're doing.
That
But
just
then
makes people mad.
well, but dude, my fucking mentors would have chewed these fucking people up, just chewed them up. And so, but there's a reason for that because you have to earn the trust of the dog, and you have to earn the understanding. And the first thing you have to understand is yourself. When you have to promote, you have to put out new information every day. Every day they tell you. So it's blah, blah, blah. There's nothing of substance there. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. Zero. In fact, it does the opposite. It hurts the dog and it hurts the relationship. But people, it's the emperor's new clothes. They're very happy and content to be stupid. And the dog is the one that suffers. But when you start to understand, and I didn't, this guy made me look at that video and I was like, I came out of the room and April's like, how'd it go? I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, it was so bad. I'm like, oh, like it's just so bad, and we've accepted it, right? You've got you've got all these people who think this is now the way. So
Yeah.
how do you do that? I've given up on trying to change that. There's no way. There's just no way.
No, I think the only way that people would turn to you is when nothing else works. And that's only because the other ways present is easier.
So think about that. Now I've got to. So one of the things I was saying for a long time, and people always say, I don't understand what he's saying. I know. I believe you. How I really believe you. He doesn't make any sense. No, because you don't have the experience. You have knowledge and you don't have any skill. The
Right.
skill of correction. If you watch that, everything I'm doing with him is there's a touch. I know how to set it up to get what I want. I know
Right.
how to set it up to bring out the best in that dog, not bribe it, not force it, to bring it out, to build this dog's confidence. This little fucker boy, he's walking with his tail up now. He's like, dude, me and Chris, what's up? That's I'm telling you. And he wasn't doing that when I got him.
Yeah.
He thinks now, what the fuck, we doing something today? Hey, we gonna go do something? He wants to work.
That's great.
If I put a prong or a choke or an e-collar on him, his willingness to work is going to drop because he's going to be confused.
Yeah.
If I start bribing him for everything, he's going to expect everything to be food. I'm not doing it to you feed me. We saw that guy, right? Where every time there was a barrier in front of him, he'd just start whining.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, Jen, he's in this pen, right? With 1,000 other dogs. And when they're hungry, they hit the end of that fence and they start whining and barking. So lady jumps up, makes food, gives it to them. When they hit a barrier, they get demanding.
Yeah.
When someone comes in and they want to be petted, they start screaming. Everybody pets them. So I bring them here and I put them up on the 1.5 foot high padded stool of death. and he's like, oh, oh. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna die up there. You're gonna die up there because there's no. Well, you're being mean to him. No, I'm not being mean to him. And I tell this story too. Long dead, but my uncle Paul had polio back in the 20s, and his wife, my aunt, said I have to feed him and stuff. And the doctor said, look, we've done everything we can, but he can come back, but don't feed him. Don't feed him. So she put food in front of him, and he's like, you need to cut it for me. She says, no. She'd go in the kitchen and cry, and he'd flip the tray over, and then she wouldn't feed him. The next day, come in, you suck. He was brutal because he's scared, man.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got to learn not to accept his place right now. So, third day, he picks up the thing and it's a mess, but he started using his muscles. He started working. He killed it. And he was one of the best archaeologists for Native American studies in New England. And he would have fucking just been in that wheelchair helpless. Sometimes you got to be cruel to be kind. There's no growth without struggle. And when you're marketing results, where's the growth?
Right.
I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know. You know?
And just that little thing of making him you knew he wasn't going to get hurt, and letting him decide to get down off there is a confidence booster for him.
Oh yeah. So he has to struggle to gain the confidence.
Right.
That's the problem, is that if we're not gonna struggle, we got a problem, right?
Right.
How do you teach the dog to be confident? You don't teach it to be confident by giving it everything it wants. You teach it to be confident by teaching it to earn.
Right.
Yep.
There we go.
He's so cute.
4:30 in the morning.
After a night of howling.
Oh. I mean, it's just like the floor's padded. The bench is padded. I don't know what to do. You ever see the millennials, like the girl in the supermarket? She's like, "You're making me uncomfortable." That's crippling. If this dog doesn't grow, it's getting crippled.
What are you doing?
It makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, I know it makes sense to you after you told me when they said, "Yeah, figure it out for yourself, Sky. You're fucking blind."
Yeah, I used to work with blind kids all the time, and
What'd you tell them?
Helpless.
Did you put an e-collar on them?
No, I told the parents to get out because it's the parents that caused the problem.
Oh, here we go.
I don't know if you want to teach him to step off great big tall things like that, because he'd be taking Sky over him.
Oh, that's the best.
You guys are
Look at
jerks.
that! He looks like a wolf. And so people would go get him. I can't take it. Well, that's selfish. That's so fucking selfish.
You have a higher expectation for that dog than most people do, which is incredible.
Yeah, but that's what pity is, the expectation of zero growth.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on this planet to grow. Yeah, because it's me, huh? Yeah. One of the commonalities in all my students is they love when I suffer. They love it.
Well, you make us suffer, so it's only fair.
I don't make you suffer. You make you suffer.
Hey, you just said we have to get through the suffering to grow.
That's right. But it's your suffering, not mine. I'm enjoying it. Just like you are now. Time marches on. So, yeah. And no more sound. Fuck. I wanted him to do it for a lot longer.
How long did that go on?
Oh, fuck, man. You understand that This dog has been in that pen too long with its litter mates. That's why, and I found the video, this guy, they're starting to spin and chase their tails because they're bored.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Right.
If the dog can entertain itself with its own body in prey drive, you're fucked. You got to stop that shit. The dogsmanship now is looked at as mean. It's looked at as cruel. You should be giving everything to the dog. And when you give everything to an opportunist, you're creating a monster.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I know. Yeah, you got to think about it because it's so hard. People are so focused on results. I almost
Yeah.
feel like showing them something where you say, "Look, the dog started here, then the dog end here. You want to know how? Then come check us out."
So here's the deal. When I show the Kato video, the Bronx video, any of my dogs doing off leash, off collar, protection work, or obedience, people say, yeah, I can do that with an electric collar. Not the same thing.
Right.
And I just think electric collars must have gotten normalized when we started doing the fences that go around the property, and people start, and then so that wasn't so bad. So then, because it really has exploded. It's like, I know, like, almost everybody I know that has a dog has an e-collar, and it's like, what, why, where did it ever come up that this was the right way to do this? But again, we're lazy people. I mean, Americans in specific, we want what we want when we want it, and we don't. If there's a shortcut, we're going to take it, and that's what an e-collar is. It's a shortcut, and they don't think about. I mean, people used to be like, "Oh, e-collars, you're so mean."
Oh, they'd burn you. I remember a police officer had, and I'm talking about e-collars back when they were like that big. The remote was like, you put batteries in, and it had an antenna on it. You couldn't hide it. And
Right.
people were like, and the dog would be like this, like, you bastard. Like, people were, because
Yeah.
it takes all the skill away, but the dog doesn't learn what you think. It learns to be castrated. It's just, or it gets angry,
Right.
or it gets like, it's not like, so here's the thing. If you go back 500 years, nobody had a dog. Not many, royalty did, but not many people had dogs that were treated like people. They had to do their job, and you couldn't beat the shit out of it because it would just leave or kill you.
Right.
You couldn't give it everything because it would take everything. You had to understand. Understanding the dog made me understand myself. And when you hold a mirror up to people,
Yeah, they don't like it. They don't like it. Yeah.
Makes
no,
them uncomfortable.
remember the conversation with your mom?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, she's still,
I
you
know.
know,
She ain't gonna
it's,
change.
nope.
Because she's 800 years old. There's no way she's gonna change. But the thing is, I had to say, I said, tell your mom to come down. I want to talk to her. And I love her mom. I really do. She's my soulmate. She is. She's wonderful. She's like a little, no, look at Jen. Jen, I go, Jen, no pillows over her face while she's sleeping. Let's stop.
Yeah.
And it's, so one of the things that I say is, I said, she's like, I protect that. I said, we're not doing that. This is me working with your daughter, working with the dogs. If you're going to do something else, I'm out. And she got so passive aggressive. She was like, fine, fine. She got so angry. And she's upset. I don't give a fuck if she's upset. I'm hired to help those dogs.
Yep.
Not the people. And
Tracy,
I
you're gonna meet my mom too, right? Because
am I
she's driving me back, and
nice.
and she's scary. So I'm just letting you know now.
Oh, believe me, Sky. I don't know. Your mom might be scary, but not as scary as my mom. So if he can deal with her, he can deal.
I am not interested in short-term gratification for the owner. I am into long-term education for the owner. And if you're just sitting there going like it's McDonald's or Burger King, have it your way, you're in the wrong place. But I'm not going to be a dick to you. I'm going to just tell you, like, we're not going one step further. And this is how I train. The first thing, if you have dogs that are running around in the house, what you've tried e-calls, you tried food, you tried toys, you tried pack walks, you tried all this shit. So let's not do anything like that. Let's reset it, because he's sleeping right now, but he goes in the crate, he comes out to work. So my thing is like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? You want me to fix a problem? Because your relationship with the, oh, here he goes. He's gonna go up to his food.
Check it if there's more food up there.
What are you doing? Hang on, I gotta have April welcome. Hang on a sec.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Ah, get out!
There he goes. Yeah, but
Good.
no, I mean, I was just gonna say you're right. You see, there he goes. He said it himself about the training, but you're right. You can't move faster than he wants you to.
Yeah, and it's not up to you. That's the hard part, right? Like, you feel like it was like the handler awareness. I don't know how many weeks we were working on that. And I'm like, we're just never going to get beyond it. I mean, I just can't do this anymore. But, at the point that I got it. So
Yeah.
it's just hard, and that's what I'm trying to say. When you don't have a problem and you're not desperate, you won't go to a trainer like him, because you want to go to someone who's easy, that's going to tell you everything you want to hear, And
Well,
it's,
oh, sorry.
that's just how I think human nature is.
It is, because you just want the results. And in my deep dark past, like, I followed, what is his name? I followed, all these
Yeah.
trainers where it was like, yeah, I mean, and that's how they advertise. They advertise as, we can handle any dog, any problem. The ones that other people can't handle, we can handle.
Right.
And so you look at that stuff and you're like, this must be the right way to do stuff, because at least they're getting results. And my thing, I keep telling Chris, there he is back, is that, there's a way to get it without brutality that these places use.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that's like, people don't believe it anymore. You don't see that anymore.
Were you talking about anybody in particular, or was it just general? What's the topic?
Some of the trainers that she's gone to before.
Or follow.
Follow.
Yikes.
That's the dissemination of the information, right? And so I don't know, it's I guess I don't mind not advertising. It's just that eventually it's going to dwindle down to nothing, and it'll be me sitting here going,
I think because of where all the dog training has gone, that people are going to need something different. And that's what I was just saying to Sky, is that, we're screwing up enough dogs that people have the gift of desperation that you talk about. And
yeah, but they don't know you're there.
Right. And I know I've had a couple people ask me, like, what I did, and I've given them your name. I don't know if they've called you or not, or reached out to you or not, but and I don't, all I say to them is, look, you got to do the work. He's not going to do the work for you. He'll guide you and he'll help you, and he's great. But you just have to do the work. And it's not easy when you're trying to fix a problem. It would have been easy to start at the beginning. Yeah.
Well, can I ask you a question? The horse you got from the Amish, you didn't really have to do anything with, because its soul was destroyed, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that
she'd never been ridden, so you think of a horse as a
plow horse. Yeah.
Well, so you got predators and prey. She's
Oh, yeah.
a prey animal. So imagine a traumatized prey animal that you want to climb up on their back, which is like, a wild animal would jump up. So she was very traumatized. It was hard to get her to be ridden, but we worked a long time. It was very slow. I mean, like, first of all, it was just having to, like, basically start from the beginning, like on the ground, where I could just touch her anywhere and, do
your groundwork. Yeah.
Yeah. And just work around her and just make her so she wasn't afraid of me, and just general. And she knew I wasn't going to hurt her. And then everything I did was just a slow, was putting the saddle on, taking the saddle off, putting throwing it over her. So because you throw something, we put a saddle on, it's like something coming at them, and then you learn that like one eye's more, she's got a right eye and a left eye, but she was probably in a team where there was like always a horse on one side, so they get lazy on that side. So if something appears all of a sudden on that side of her body, it's like, ah! So it's like learning all that stuff about her, but also slowly desensitizing her to all that. And then
you're talking about clarity, trust, and respect.
Exactly. You couldn't have ridden her if, I mean, she's 1,800 pounds. So
she's a big bitch.
She's a big girl. And so if
big girls need love too, baby.
Yeah. You don't want to climb up on that thing if you aren't sure you're not going to die.
So what about the people who would break her with a saddle?
What about the people that would break her?
Instead of building that trust, they just go fucking throw a saddle on her. And
if someone had gotten her that didn't want to take all that time, because it was a good year before I could get up on her and like walk her around, where she would walk like she was on ice. She would take like a step. And, yeah, she was scared to death with you on her back. And if you moved, she would jump. And but it took about a year to get her so she was comfortable. I mean, I put the saddle on her and I had like floppy things up there and I'd lunge her and stuff so she could see that. But if anybody else had gotten her, she probably would have ended up in because it definitely was something that took a ton of time and a ton of patience, which a lot of people don't have.
Or compassion. And a lot of the things that you did with her made her uncomfortable so that she would grow.
Yes.
So if someone or something doesn't trust, you have to see. This is what I say to people. They're like, "Oh, you're traumatized." No, the dog's already traumatized. The triggers are the guideposts. If you have a trigger, we're walking towards it. We're not walking away from it. We're not going away from your triggers. And now we're in a society where everybody's triggered and you're a dick if you expose them to it. But we have a generation of invalids, mental invalids, because people don't make them upset. Don't make them upset. How the fuck do you learn about life?
Right.
That's right.
So why did you take that horse, Jen?
I just felt bad for her when I went to go look at her. The pictures and stuff the guy sent us didn't look like she was when we drove to Pennsylvania. And when we got down there, she was standing in, a foot of mud with flies all over her. And it was sad. And she was, 200 pounds underweight. And I felt bad for her. And she did have a sweet temperament. She wasn't a mean horse. So I knew I could do something with her. So even if I brought her home and fixed her up and sold her, I would have done that. But I certainly couldn't have left her there.
So imagine if someone took her and then went back to what the Amish were doing. That's it. You're never going to get her back.
Right.
After your work, if somebody takes her back and does that, there's no way. So that's what I mean about people finding me after they've done all these things to the dog.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't. Sometimes too much has happened.
Right.
And when you have a dog that has a lot of trauma and is defensive or avoidant or whatever it is, the skill of the person who owns the dog can't be elevated in enough time to get them to understand what's going on. So you start to take people who, like, say they took the horse and they didn't understand horses. Maybe they just, give the horse everything it wants, but you don't live with the horse.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You live with the dog.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a lot easier for my mom to spoil the horses because then it does the dog. I mean, like with the horses, not, there's nothing going to happen. But with the dogs, it's a different story. But she doesn't make that. She doesn't make that,
delineation. Yeah. Start. All
Hmm.
right. How do we wrap this up?
Well, she's so cute. He is. He's a cute dog.
Maybe now. Let's see when he's.
I'll send him up.
Yeah.
You'll be
So
like, ah! You'll kill him.
you're gonna have a video diary of him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just sent Chris. I just sent it to you. Like folders to store it in, and I can store it in, and you can store it in there. So we're just gonna have a compilation of video files.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm gonna document our whole road trip back and what I do with him at work, and it'll be fun.
Yeah, so you got to put the effort in, and that's one of the things that Sky's learning is that you must unlearn what you have learned. Yes. And that's half of the problem now. It used to be just like, Chris, what do I do with this dog? And you go from there, and it's done. But now it's undoing, then having. There's an incense burning. I'm not on fire here, so it's just going by. So that dog has gas like you cannot believe. It would
Really?
gag a maggot. Yeah. He's like,
Ah.
and I'm like, God damn it. So
Blame it on the dog.
if I farted, he'd be dead. So the I don't know what I was talking about. You just threw me off so bad.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
You were saying I was I have to unlearn what I've learned.
Yeah, it's hard, man, because people like you look at that girl out in Michigan who doesn't even. She's turning her body and she's making these corrections. Fucking stop. When people teach you bad dogsmanship, the first thing you got to do is get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
every move you make with the dog is a conversation.
and that's why I love that you're filming everything you're doing with this guy, because I'm learning so much just by watching it. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I get it. I mean, I understand why you're doing that and how the dog's learning. But it's not replacing at all my lack of experience, but it's at least giving me a little bit of a place to understand where I've gone wrong in the past. So,
But the whole thing is, Sky, is that my goal with you is not to get you a trained dog. There's two goals
of
with you.
course, yeah.
Number one, make it so you never need another fucking dog trainer again. And number two, to make you less afraid and more confident. Because I though you have a great dog with Cindy, there's still more you can get out of a dog. And
Yes.
the more you trust that dog, and I know you trust her now, but the more you trust that dog, the more confident you're going to be. And that's what I'm after. That's really what I'm after.
Yeah, that's what teamwork's about. That's what all dog human relationships should be.
Yeah. All right. I'm good. I feel like I've purged.
All right, guys. Well, it was great seeing you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me know if you guys want. And listen, if you guys got topics, that'd be great. I just was overwhelmed with it. Isn't it funny too? Like I don't want to see that shit, and my algorithm. There's nothing but that.
Yeah.
But you can't do the see less thing.
Yeah.
I've
You know,
been doing it.
Oh, okay.
And they just keep fucking barraging you. It's I don't know. It's
So what you're
crazy.
saying is don't send you more videos like that.
Oh, you can, but I'm going to train him to bite you in the ass every time you say sit.
No. How dare you?
How
All right.
very dare you? All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Oh.
Bye.